Australia actually declared a national skills emergency.
Wow.
They actually saw that the skills shortage was seen as a considerable threat to their economy. And so they stood up a statutory body that was independently tasked with looking at new, emerging, current needs for skills training workforce. And through that, it unlocked a bunch of different funding that led to some really cool projects across the country, one of which happened in New South Wales, where they essentially set up a 24/7 digital reskilling operation through one of their federally funded vocational colleges that put out micro-credentials specific to employer needs on critical skills. And we're actually able to, within the first year of opening that program that was federally funded, was able to put out about 500 units of learning, so 500 different skills that were required in the industry, and upskill thousands of students in that first year.
I'm thinking like of a local application of that. Tell me if I'm way off, but I've heard a lot of people talking about the future of Alberta energy and how there are so many people right now. Let's say in that spot of like, I don't know, what's the spot where you start getting nervous that you're too old to start a new career but too young to retire? Is that like 35 to 55, would you say?
And never too old.
Well, I agree. I mean, I agree. I do agree. But like, you know, for example, let's say like there's a guy out there. Let's paint this hypothetical.
Yeah.
And he's a driller. And he's a really good driller. And so every single time that he hears somebody talk about, you know, the world going off oil and gas, this person immediately bristles because what they feel is a threat to their family's livelihood. And everybody can understand why that person would feel that way. However, somebody that's really bullish on like the future of geothermal energy would say, we are going to need talented drillers, right? And you have all of the skills that we need. Maybe you need to level up some learning, but you're basically already there. And all of a sudden this person can go, holy smokes. I mean, may have skills applicable for the next 100 years, right?
Exactly. It's really about thinking about those transferable skills and how those transferable skills, even if it's just a little bit of upskilling that's required, we're working at a pace that can't wait for 4 years of a new post-secondary degree. And so the rise of these sort of micro-credentials that maybe fill a little bit of those gaps and then combined with some of that work-integrated learning will get them into a seat that both can apply the skills that they currently have with also what the businesses need into the future.
There are, I don't know how many students graduating from the University of Alberta in AI. As such, what NorQuest has done, because we power the front lines of the economy, is said, let's get in a machine learning analyst program. We're going to need the front lines for all of the people that are creating the big jobs. Let's make sure we get those office workers and the machine learning analysts. The first year we opened the program was not that long ago. That was 2 years ago. We had 30 people.
Yeah.
We now have 198
wow.
people. I know. So it's a great story. And then down back to workforce integrated learning. The kind of workforce integrated learning that we see all across the province is pretty exemplary, and it has been part of the Alberta 2030 plan to increase workforce integrated learning. We have a new strategic plan called NorQuest 2030, We Are Who We Include, and it's about being as barrier-free and welcoming as we can to as many students as we can, and that's domestic students and international students. Domestic students, like, hold on to your hat. We have grown, even just in the last 3 years, from, say, 500 international students to 3,700 international students. Great story for Edmonton. Mm-hmm. And I know colleges across Alberta are seeing the same thing, so this is very powerful. But our students are coming from India, countries all across Africa, Brazil, Vietnam, Philippines.
We need to get at these students younger to give them opportunities to experience some of these different industries, different professions, to make sure that, you know, as they're learning through high school, they're actually paying attention to the realities of those skills that they're going to need in the different professions, and how do they pick and choose, but also how do they get to try it out and make sure that they like it before they commit to those 4 years of education.
And it's not going to be for everybody, right? Like,
no.
I mean, some kids in grade 8 and 9 know exactly what they want to do, and some at like age 25 are still not 100% sure.
Or some, in their 50s still don't know what they want to do.
Yeah, that's right.
We're always evolving as individuals, but really adolescents and young adults are, they have a difficult time picking and choosing, and even more so in this day and age because, they have so much more information thrown at them and there's so many different opportunities for them. And we're seeing some of this stuff already happening. I mean, there's dual credit programs already where students are taking credit towards their university education in some of the roles that they're taking on during high school. So it has been seen, but the earlier that we can get them, this was what we found through this task force, is the earlier that we can get them starting to think about that career, the easier it is for them to make those choices around, what courses do they need to take, what do they need to be focusing on in terms of specializations or additional credits that they need to be taking or volunteer positions that they should be looking at in order to ensure that they're going to be able to get into that situation when they graduate.